Hey everybody, Divine Scarlet here, and we are going to have a little chat today about what is coming up with astrological energies and doing a little card work. For those of you who like answers, I'm just going to be alluding to things. The way I like to use the process is not to give you answers, but kind of give you just the energy around it. I feel when a lot of people, they just think of one thing, they can actually create that thing, maybe the thing that they don't want to create. So we're just going to leave this open and let your imagination run wild or not. And let's try to keep this in the most positive spirit because remember, even when you have a lot going on, there's always a best way to deal with something. And we're going to try to encourage that best way to deal with something. I know some things, especially it seems at this time right now, seem very faded and almost maybe a little even addictive in nature, especially in relationship wise and what's going on with family and things like that. And it can be draining and it can be hard on your spirit. First, we're going to look at the upcoming event on November 19th, 2021, and that's in LA at the time. It happens at 2:21 a.m. and it will be a little bit, before or after, according to where you live on the planet. It takes place, the sun is in 27 Scorpio and the moon is in 27 Taurus. So Scorpio is known as the planet of death, and also the god of the underworld. So we're going to go a bit deeper than we normally would. I know for me, I can already start feeling this transition, and that's why we wanted to speak on this today. Is it's going to be a lunar eclipse. It's going to be a lunar eclipse because the north node and the south node of the moon, or also referred to as the dragon's head or tail, will be right within that, the full moon. This happens all the time during this time, so it doesn't make it different. But this one is significant to me because we can already start feeling this change. And there's also a couple other planets having a little bit to do with this that we'll talk about. For me, I'm noticing there's a lot of deep karmic issues coming to play, whether it be with your family or whether it be with a relationship, maybe a new relationship or also an old relationship coming up for these patterns that you might see in yourself that need to be reconciled. The full moon, again, remember the full moon will always bring something to light that was hidden before. And it could be just hidden in your own subconscious mind. So now it's bringing it out to be seen, and it actually can cause events, depending on where it's hitting in your chart. I'd look to see if it's hitting one of your four angles to see the most, or if a square is happening to see the most if it's hitting there. A full moon's already in opposition, so it's already creating a tension to a degree. It also is a time when you can actually see something manifest in the literal world. This one will only be a partial eclipse. So I would check your chart to see if you have anything from 24 through 30 fixed signs. So that's Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius. So when you're looking at that, you're looking for the other square that completes that, and that will really throw some action into the chart and action into this eclipse in itself. And since we're dealing with this lunar energy, more emotional energy is also at play, especially with Scorpio. It's very, very intense of emotions and maybe even obsessive emotions as well. Okay, so I pulled a couple cards to kind of see some significance that will connect with this uh, lunar eclipse. The first card, I do have to say, I have gotten early and I'm really excited to be working with these before they are out. But they're from Crystal Ray. Her name is Amanda V. Carr. I don't know how to say it particularly. I'll let her take that. but it's called the mirror. So when you're working with the card, it's kind of like a reflection into your kind of your darker, shadow self. So one of the first cards that came up was drained, and I should, mirror my image so you can actually read that. But it says drained. So we have to check in with ourselves to see why we would suffer such drain. The next card that came up was sacrifice. Um, some of the best things in life to achieve such power in life is born out of great sacrifice. It's time to look around and see what needs to be released in your life. By surrendering and letting go, there will be more room for you to receive. The rewards are transformation, wisdom, gratitude, and enlightenment. So we have to look to see what no longer serves us. I think this is a good thing to do all the time, not just on this particular time. But I think this is just going to encourage us to go there and encourage us to not take things for granted that we need to let go now. So we should assess the things around us and say, what can I let go now? What is still serving me? But even sometimes when might think what you're choosing sounds dumb, there might be a secret lesson within it. And I'm not saying to hold yourself into a karmic pattern, because that's the next card that was pulled, karma. So I think, well, anytime you're dealing with the nodes, it's coming from like this past life and present life. So almost like your incarnation point. So it would make sense that this point in time is very karmic, and the point that you choose in your direction right now plays a huge thing in your life right now. It is indeed karmic. Um, Now, for my own deck that I have created here, it is the Soul Compass Travel Deck. Some of you may have this. I have traveled a lot. I'm not going to say everywhere because I still have more to do. But this card is when I went to Cusco and I went to Peru and I was just about to do ayahuasca. And that indeed is also a death and transformative kind of thing. I can't even describe it to you because it is like you are going through the death process. And so for this card, I wrote, you are about to embark on your own personal journey of the unknown. How do you feel? And of course, the first things that come up to me were, oh my God, I'm scared. I'm scared, but I have to do this. And I knew that when I would do that, it would reap some kind of reward at the end and give me some kind of knowledge that I needed. And I needed to go through that fear process of the unknown. And we got triumph at the end. So within that space of embarking into this kind of unknown space and this unclear space, having to do a lot with karma, there's some kind of triumph at the end that you should be led to. And it's going to be different for all of us, of course. So I'm not going to pose an exact idea of what that looks like for you. It can look like anything for you. And in fact, please start imagining what your triumph looks like through the walls of the unknown. And I can tell you from my experience that I was able to actually save a person's life by the knowledge that the ayahuasca brought to me. So there is some beauty within that darkness. Again, bringing light to that subconscious. There's a light within the dark kind of ideas. So that is all today for the lunar eclipse coming up on the 19th. And I hope you guys enjoyed this.
Satnam, Aman Devi here, offering a general reading, and as always, explore what resonates within you. Your experience and your awareness to your own experience is your best teacher. So take what resonates and dismiss the rest. Many thanks to Divine Scarlet for sharing a bit more about the transits, what's happening with the planets. Right now, it just feels like a huge, like transformative energy, like shape-shifting energy. changes afoot that you can no longer ignore, calling it the soul. It's just like seeping for renewal, rebirth, and changes in a big way. So notice how the divine is supporting the changes you've made or considering, or notice how you can't ignore something anymore. Like, how is your body? How is your frequency? How is your situation? Asking you to pay attention on a deeper level so that you can be the best version of yourself, for you to shine bright or feel more whole and complete on this planet. What do you need for you? And how is Spirit just lining things up as you start to pay attention to what you need, as you start to take that leap of faith or take that one step forward toward change? How do things just slowly start to fall into place for you? So pay attention, notice who's here to support you on your path, whether it's divine insight or your tribe just kind of coming together to say, I've got you, let's go. So let's take a look at the cards. Have the influences of the angel deck, the stargazer playing cards, and the karma angel deck. Howard, pay attention to how things are coming together, not so much falling apart. And when you get past that, like, fear, there's that, like, fear that teaches you pull back, right? And then there's that fear that says, I'm a little bit afraid, but I'm going to do it anyway. And what is that feeling after that? What is that feeling? Can you start to notice the spectrum of fear, the spectrum of emotions that are encouraging your growth? Different than the stagnant energy that might have kept you wrapped in a particular comfort zone. What do you need for your quality of life? 10 of Cups. What is your pot at the end of the rainbow? So in the traditional Rider-Waite deck, there is this rainbow, and it's like this family waving like a big thank you. And so here it's like all cups are full, you know, rather than that mentality of, is the cup half full or half empty? Like, I got 10 cups, they're full, and there's plenty of abundance here for me on an emotional level to receive what I need. Tower, speaking of change and not being able to ignore. So how are things being shaken up for you? Not in a way that shaken up like pitfalls, more of like shaken up for you to receive your bliss and happiness. I'm going to show this. The next bottom deck is the Page of Pentacles. So it's more like this step-by-step strategic energy to receive abundance, to receive fulfillment, to live wholeheartedly. And are you willing to risk your comfort zone and take a step forward? So if you're like a planner, what are the possibilities? Will you brainstorm it? Will you mind map it? If you need to look at SMART goals or smarter goals, I like SMART goals are a way to measure success of a plan moving forward. To me, it's important to be very clear about what those are, rather than like this open-ended, I'm just going to do that, but getting very specific of what you need and then how you're going to follow through, and how will you know that it's working or not. I like the in smarter because we're always evaluating and reevaluating. So continue to get curious about what you need. Continue to evaluate and reevaluate what you need for your happiness. And don't be afraid easier said than done not to be afraid. And I've said this in other readings, or you've heard me talk about my empowerment deck. I knew I had to make some changes. So that deck started with a mantra, a word or phrase. So there are times I had to make a change. Like I just had to do it. I couldn't stay in the little box I created for myself. And in those times where I wanted to kind of crawl back into that comfort zone or what I knew before, like that codependent energy, and like hold back, I would talk to myself up, but it wasn't like, come on, girl, you can do this. I would laugh at myself and say empowerment, empower fucking men, because like with the F-bomb and that, like I just had to giggle, like laugh at myself. And I'm like, this isn't a big deal. I can do this one step. I can do this one thing today that gives me one step closer to my goal. I can do this one thing today that will change my life for the greater good. So, to reiterate, this 10 of Cups, we have the 10 of Hearts saying, like, happiness is here. Do you want it? Will you show up for yourself? And as the deck split, we have the 7. So to me, this is courage and tenacity. Today, it always, like, there's no like textbook way to read or perceive a sign synchronicity, so you have to feel it out for yourself. That's why I say take what resonates. And 2, juggling. So juggling between what was and what can be, and continue to work harder in a way that, like, not work harder as like burn yourself out. The next 2 cards bottom deck is the 10 of Spades, like surrendering and leveling up energetically. Balancing act based on the truth of what your soul is calling you to do. Excuse me. Next bottom deck is a 3. What are you manifesting? And the Queen, precision. This is important, I think. I think these cards are important here. Precision and how you think and how you're working to nurture the, I mean, it happens on the physical world, but with the 10 here is like, how are you speaking to yourself? How are you talking yourself back into your comfort zone? How are you talking yourself out of the changes? How are you talking yourself out of the signs and synchronicities you receive? And will you have the courage to level up for you? And that's important, right? And so this juggling act, this 2 is very temporary. It's a temporary energy, but it's easy to stay there because we have this even number, right? It's easy to stay with that 2. Easier, not in the long run, but the way the energy flows, the 2s kind of stay, but the 3 asks us to transmute. It asks us to make changes, right? It's more of this bouncy energy of co-creating. And will you get very clear on your purpose? Will you get very clear on your truth so that you can transmute in the physical world what you need to receive and see to live your 10 of Hearts? If you were to sit and think or list out 10 things that fill your cup, what would that be? And how can you every day work toward that? I think I want to leave it there. And one more deck. That seems... It's not about working harder. I'm sorry I said that. It's just about working toward your fulfillment and not spinning circles. Will you call up for support to receive what you need? Will you look up to learn? What are you giving birth to? 22. We don't distill this because this is like a divine purpose card. So who are you being called to connect to co-create? What parts of you are coming together to heal your inner child wounds or to co-create something new in the physical world? And how is everything in the heavens supporting these changes, this rebirth, this love, this purpose, this connection, this marriage, this family, whatever it is for you? And will you continue to find your stable support, not in a perceived comfort zone, outside of the box of a codependent pattern, and finding that forced stability with the angelic realm, and trust that they are always here to support you. And the thoughts that you have send out signals. And are you sending out signals, or are they sending signals to you for change? And then what do you see based on those signals that you're either putting out into the world with your thoughts, your irritation, your energy overall? And how will you level up in some way every day for yourself and for your happiness? I do hope this served well. Sending lots of light and love. Send them.